Welcome everyone to today's special conversation. We are diving into a fascinating field that blends geography, astrology, and human destiny, locational astrology. Joining us today is Mr. Georg Stockhorst, a locational astrologist who helps people find the best places for love, career, health, business, and overall life alignment. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, you're welcome.
We start with the first question, like for those who are very new to this topic, hearing for
Yes.
the first time. So, can you give us a brief introduction, like what is exactly locational astrology and how it is different from the traditional astrology that we do?
Okay. Basically, location astrology is an old science, so to say. It's not different, in fact, fully
Okay.
different from general astrology. But okay, in astrology we have different fields, like, and the most famous one, of course, is birth chart astrology.
Okay.
Meaning that people get their birth charts calculated and they get interpretation for their what it means for them, for their life, who they are, and all these things. And there's another branch of daily, so to say, daily atmosphere and energy astrology, which interprets like the way the planets are positioned in the zodiac. It interprets the today's energy, like or
Okay.
tomorrow's, or in advance or in the past, whatever. And these two fields are maybe the most famous ones, the most practically known ones. And but there are other fields of astrology, a number of fields, and one of them, and it's an old one too, because in ancient times, people needed to explore places too. So they had their image, like they had maybe mythological image of what the energy of a place is. But there's also an astrological symbolization. I mean, a use of astrological symbols to describe the energies of places, right? And that has been practiced for ages, let's say. But in the modern area, when the 12 sign zodiac that we are using now was developed like around 2000 years, around when like 200 before CE, before the year zero.
Okay.
Then, yeah, since then we have a 12-fold zodiac in which these so-called Greek signs, because that happened in Greece, or like in
Yeah.
the Greek language culture zone, in particular Egypt. But actually the 12 sign zodiac is far older the thing
Okay.
to divide the sky into 12 zones. It can be assumed to be a lot of older, because in ancient times, the first really important identification of astrology was when people began using it to to define when is the equinox, the spring and autumn equinox.
Okay.
Why? Because they wanted to understand when can we plant, when would we plant best, and when is the harvest season, and when will the winter start, so it makes no sense to plant, and we have to get the harvest in. And for that purpose, they divided the sky into four, like, corners. The two
Okay.
equinoxes, the 21st of March and 21st of September. And the two solstices, the longest days. The longest day in summer, 21st of June,
Yeah.
and shortest day, 21st of December, right? So these four marking stones of our northern hemisphere, or like on Earth, they are they were important, and they made the first systemical astrology, because from that on, the sky was divided into four fields, and it was further like divided into 12 altogether, 4 times 3 parts
Okay.
including. So yeah, and so the sky equator is divided into these 12 zones, and from that week there is there has always been the thought, how can we divide the Earth equator into 12 equal zones? But that is not so easy, because it's so difficult and so
Yeah.
relative, because you don't have it does not happen that the Earth, on the Earth equator, we don't have the longest day and the shortest day, and all this, and the equinoxes. We don't have such systemical points, so that made it so difficult. And yeah, locational astrology therefore seemed always to be reduced to vague ideas, assumptions, theories. Like when the people said, okay, we think that India is a Virgo energy, and they say, like they said,
Okay.
like Germany is an Aries energy, or different cultures were given astrological names, so to say. But that was very subjective and very relative, and not systemical. You could not measure it, right? And so, locational astrology has not had not learned to use the zodiac on Earth. And that is why in modern astrology still the quality of places cannot be calculated astrologically in most systems. And I have developed a system to do that. I mean, I have developed a system that tries, I mean,
Okay.
explores trying to measure systemical fields on Earth, to measure out the Earth equator in a way to understand the zodiac zones on the Earth equator, to explore in which way defining them makes sense. Right? It's not that we can say we can define it, because there are no definitions, as I said. But I have invented a number and tried out and developed over many, many years, all on my own, so to
Okay.
say, in my own perception and attempts and so on, to measure out the fields on Earth. And I started with measuring zones and tried to figure out in meters which quantity of meters could I use for zones. So I tried 10-meter zones, 20-meter, and 30
Okay.
meter, and 50-meter zones, and so on. And then after a long, yeah, attempt, so to say, I defined the 30-meter zones are the best for the city life, for measuring, let's say, how is the energy between two large houses that are next to each other? How can I measure out the signs?
Okay.
Because the sequence of the signs is defined, like you have Aries as a spring start, and you have the 3 spring signs, they follow each other: Aries, Taurus, Gemini. And then the summer signs, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, and so on. So how can I understand where does the zodiac make sense in the streets in the city? And I
Okay.
did that for a long, long time. I'd done that for a very long time until, um, yeah, okay. I got a lot of experience with trying and with exploring and where did I make mistakes and when does it not, when can I not say that Leo follows Cancer when I in that particular street and so on and so on. And I got to a clue at some stage of that. That was
Yeah.
in about in 1990. So it's a long time ago. And from that on, I got a really habit, like when walking through streets, and I understood that this particular color and this particular name and number and type of shop and display in the shop window and the name of the owner and all these things, exploring them. And I got to understand that, okay, you can measure out 30-meter zones in such a way that 12 30-meter zones make one 360-meter zodiac.
Okay.
I was thrilled by that. And when I first found a real sufficient key and had enough experience of understanding and allowing also my, to try to understand what I couldn't know about the science, how they can actually look in the streets, right? So, and which type of plants, let's say, that was an important key. Which type of plants refer to or are in synchronicity and in resonance and in parallelism and correspondence with a particular sign, let's say. Right. So then it happened that there was a street there in a particular street, and there was two bars, and one was
Okay.
named Scorpio, and the other one was named Aquarius. And the distance between the two was 90 meters, approximately 90 meters. So they were like the 30-meter zones. If you measure out
Yeah.
from Scorpio to Aquarius, you'll have in the zodiac you have 90 degrees, and in that street it was 90 meters. And so I said, okay, in this case, I can use 1 meter for 1 degree. And that I think it's a because we are like hypnotized, or like, let's say, we are conditioned by
Yeah.
measuring in meters, and that is an overlay of how people actually react onto the landscape. So people open a bar in an Aquarius zone, and they call it Aquarius. They don't know that it's systemical in the landscape, but it is. And that is a particular thrill when I understood that, and when I got to have more experience measuring out these things, that I discovered, okay, you can do that in other streets. I could do that in other streets. So I had to find out that the sequence, it runs from north to south and from west to east, in my experience. Okay, not from east to west and not from south to north. Okay,
Yeah.
so that is the way I measured out the sequences. And after doing that, I spent a long time watching, let's say, and I systematically explored then 360-meter zodiacs in the city map. Okay,
Okay.
and I did that. I explored that for over a long time, and yeah, and then I tried to, and then I understood to how in my it's not the largest city on earth, but in the city I live in, when I explored that, I had enough experience with that. I understood that 12 zodiacs of 360 meters together, they make one mega zodiac of 4.320 4 kilometers, 320 meters. And I managed to explore that on larger maps and larger maps, and until I got to the map of Germany, which has in I mean I get from 12 4.320 4 kilometers, 320 meter zones. 12 of them together make one full zodiac as well of 51.84 kilometers. And 12 of these large squares of 51.84 kilometers, they together make a fuller field of 322 kilometers.
Okay.
So I was able to try and explore how can I measure out a map of Europe from that, and so on and so on, and using that in my astrological consultation practice.